We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, Ebony, to our leadership accountability call. Super pumped that you guys could, change your time to be on here live with her, because I really wanted to have her come and speak to us, because if you guys are, in the Team Rock Hard Bodies page, you're watching those Success Club leadership, whatever boards, Ebony is consistently every single month at the top of the list. She's earning the most Success Club points every single month, and not just like one time, it's month after month after month. And that consistency is amazing. She's only been a coach, she said, for about a year and a half. She is currently Diamond. She has an amazing social media presence. I just love following her. And so that's why I really wanted her to come on today and just sort of share, what is her strategy? What's she doing behind the scenes to create such amazing results? And then we'll go into a Q&A after, because, I'm sure you guys will have questions for her. So welcome to the call, Ebony, and take it away.
Stay in here, but close the door. Right? We're all busy moms, right? Multitasking.
I
know. No, just close the door, Price.
And cue kid come in. That's too funny. Yes.
Hey, guys. So I'm here. You can get on the bed. You want to sit over there? Okay. I'm super excited about being on a call with you guys. I love Alicia. I got to spend some time with her at Summit. It was my first kind of met her. So she has amazing energy, and I think she's wonderful and awesome. So I'm glad to be on a call with you guys. Actually said I've been coaching for about 1.5 years. I definitely started as a challenger. So I did not approach this business I didn't start to begin a business or anything. I was that challenger that you've probably sent a message to and they told you no. And you asked them again and they said no, because that's what I did. My best friend is my coach. She's the one who recruited me to help me lose weight. And I told my best friend no. So with that being said, guys, it helps me now that I'm coaching and I'm talking to people to help remind me that if I told somebody that I've known since I was 5 years old no to something, what more can I expect from people who don't know me at all? So I think now that I look back, I think my whole path of even starting starting as a challenger has helped me have the right frame of mind when approaching people about wanting to begin this as a challenger. So I want to preface this by saying that I'm not going to go into saying that, you should be inviting, because I do believe that if Alicia has you on this call as one of her leaders, that you are inviting. So I'm not going to talk about inviting. I'm not going to talk about following up. I'm going to assume that we're doing that. That's the minimum. Like, we should be inviting and following up. So I invite and follow up. But one of the biggest things that I think has helped with the success with attracting challengers is, I always tell my coaches, my team, be true to your story. And one of the things when I started, and we all have a certain niche of people that we're going to attract. And when I started, when I think about my story, I was so this is the other thing too. So my Success Club points, I will say 99.9% of them are truly challengers. They're not coaches. They're not people wanting to do the business. I do sign 98% of my challengers up as discount coaches, which does help my business as far as ranking while I'm still working on building my team. So that's the other thing. When I'm most of my marketing right now probably is targeted towards challengers, because I'm very much so know it's important to focus on and share my journey. So when you think about your story and your journey, you're going to attract people who are just like you. And I think that's one of the most important things that I have done, is been able to really focus in on my story. So when people, and so when people come to my page and, you know, I talk about how I love McDonald's. Like I'll make a post about, you know, every time I used to go home, I'd want to stop at McDonald's and get a frappe and 3 chocolate chip cookies for $1. And you know what? I'm really proud of the fact that I say 3 chocolate chip cookies for $1 because McDonald's stopped selling 3 for $1 a long time ago. So that shows how long ago it was that I was getting 3 chocolate chip cookies. I haven't been there in a while. But it's really important to be true to your journey and be authentic, because if we post, like sometimes I go on some coaches' pages and even with my coaches, you know, like when they start coaching, all of a sudden they want to sound like they're these perfectly healthy people who don't, you know, they do post a workout pic and they're like, I did my workout, I feel great. And I'm like, okay, you do feel great. That's wonderful. I know you feel great. But the problem with that post is you're only going to get people to stop and read it and be inspired by it by the people who also work out and feel great. But we don't need those people to sign up as challengers, because if they're working out and they feel great, they're going to like your post or they're going to comment on it because they agree with you. But I'm trying to reach the mother who has worked all day. Her husband's getting on her nerves. Her kids are running around. There's homework that needs to be done. She's trying to cook, right? So if I make a post that just says, I got my workout and I feel great, have I really reached out to her? No. She's going to read that and just keep scrolling like, well, I guess Ebony's got it together. She feels great. She got her workout and I'm over here stressed out. So if I give more of a glimpse into what my either more so of how I was, because you have to remember the challengers that you're attracting, they're not going to be who you are now. You're going to attract the people who you were, or maybe, or if you're still within your journey and, you know, with very much within your journey, we need to share those struggles. So when I talk about food, I talk about how I would probably, like I made a post today that said with carrots. So a very surface post with posting your carrots would be, I'm going to eat healthy because eating healthy is great. Okay. But the old Ebony though used to want to eat chocolate chip cookies and sweet tea in the afternoon, not carrots. So in the post, I share that eating chocolate chip cookies and sweet tea, because you know who's going to stop and read that? Somebody who's eating chocolate chip cookies and sweet tea, and somebody that wants to eat healthier, but you know, they're struggling with getting to that point. So when they see you and they see you as someone who can relate with them, that is where your magic is going to happen. And I think many times when we become coaches, we think that we have to just represent this perfectly healthy person who makes all these great decisions. And maybe you are making those decisions now. But where's the story between the person you were and the person you've grown into? Because what we want to do is attract the people who were like us. When I make posts about working out, I love to share about how my husband would leave early in the morning to go to work, and I had a baby. So I would talk about how I could never make it to the gym because I couldn't have anybody watch my baby. So when I make a post about how convenient it is to work out, that post is more so trying to reach the mother who doesn't have anybody to watch her kids. And so we'll say, oh, those, when we say, of course we know those are excuses, because if we really wanted to get it done, we could. But those were my barriers when I started working out. How am I going to work out? So when we started, we work out from home now. So that has been my solution. Or when I do a workout pic, sometimes I'll put a picture of my son in the photo with me holding a little 1-pound weight, because that will attract the mother that, hey, I know your struggle because I've been there, or I'm there now, or I had to work a 12-hour day and I'm really tired and I really just wanted to get in the bed and eat some Oreos and catch up on TV. But instead I decided to go ahead and push play. Because I think when we come across as compassionate and we come across as caring, that we're able to reach more people. because we're real. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do is make sure that we're being real. So one of the other things that I think is really when you're, and it's so sometimes you may not really, maybe you're trying to figure out what people's struggles are, but you know what, the conversations that we have with people. So one of the things that I do when I'm having my inbox conversations, I'm going to ask people, I share a little bit about myself. And like my theme is that I was a quitter. I was always starting and stopping. So you know who I get? A lot of people who identify with that. So when I send out my invites to people, I'll say, to tell you a little bit about myself, and I talk about the highlight points about me always starting and quitting, not being able to stay consistent. And then at the end, I'll say, you know, what are your struggles? What do you find the hardest about achieving your goals? So at that point, I think the people feel, because when they respond, they say, oh my God, that's how I am. And then they'll begin to share some of their struggles. You guys, the information that you get from conversations with people about their struggles are golden to use as information to use in your social media to attract people, to attract your challengers. Why do I say that? So like sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll tell me how, oh my God, you know, I hate shopping. Like I used to love shopping. Now I hate shopping because I don't know what to wear. I hate how my stuff feels. I don't like to go shopping anymore. How many more people do you think are dealing with those same feelings? Or if you were, or if you know, I know everyone's journey isn't that they were overweight, but that's my story. So that's why I'm sharing with you what I've done. So I'll remember to myself, man, I remember how that felt. So then when I make a post, I'm going to talk about being in a fitting room, like bring people to that moment, being in a fitting room, you trying on clothes and you're frustrated. And then you go and I would get mad and I would leave and I would like pissed off and I just go to McDonald's and go get me a double cheeseburger and fries. So like sometimes I remember I made a post one time that said, overeating made me sad. And because I was sad, I would overeat. Something like that is going to reach somebody's heart and their affections. And they're going to be like, she understands me. As opposed to being the person who makes posts that just has this flowery page that just talks about, got my workout and I feel great. I eat healthy. I'm not going to eat McDonald's. McDonald's is trash. That's terrible food. And like, maybe that is you, right? Maybe that is you and that's fine. But if you have had a struggle or even if you can't identify with some of that, when you're talking to your challengers in your inbox, you need to figure out how to take that information and use it as material for your social media. Because the majority of the people that you're gonna attract to be challengers are dealing with those emotional things. And those are the type of things that when I'm talking to people, I like jot down stuff. I'm like, ooh, that's a great pain point for weight loss. Like one lady messaged me and she's like, I don't even want to get naked in front of my husband. And I felt like that too. So I've made posts that said that, right? I'm like, you know, I am like very authentic when it comes to how I felt before I started Beachbody. And then what I do is take people to the dark and I bring them to the light. And as coaches, that's what we are. Your amazing thing, the thing that's going to be amazing about you, Beachbody is great. The products are great. Shakeology is amazing. All of that is wonderful. But every Beachbody coach is using Beachbody. The thing that's going to differentiate us from every other coach is our story. So whatever your story is, like I talked to some coaches and they've dealt with anxiety. Talk about how that feels. I haven't dealt with that, so I don't know how to speak on that. Speak on that. Share the nitty gritty. Because when people scroll and see before and after pictures all the time. But I felt like the lack with before and after pictures is that nobody tells a story in between those photos. And they just make it seem like one day they just got it together and they just lost weight and like, bam, here I am. I'm fine. I look good. Woo, woo. But there's a story in there that's not being told that is going to reach the people that want you and the people that need you. Because when you share that story, guys, it doesn't matter what you tell people to use. Like once they have connected with you emotionally and feel like she understands me, you could give them a meal plan that says we're going to eat hot dogs and pineapples and go outside and do 10 jumping jacks. And you know what? They're going to trust you because they love you and they feel like this girl understands me because you shared your struggle. But for many coaches, it's hard to figure out. Many coaches can't figure out how to share their story. And I tell them, it's as simple as, like, I have, like, one of my coaches made a post one morning, her Shakeology, and she's like, got my superfoods in this morning. So I called her and we had to talk about it. I said, that is a great post for coaches. That is a great post for your coach friends. That is not a great post for people who are going through the drive-thru at McDonald's. See, I always talk about McDonald's, y'all. I love McDonald's. That's not a great post for the person going through McDonald's who's going to go get a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin. That's 2 for $4. Why? So you're eating your superfoods now, but how did you eat before? That's what I want to hear. So you say, I'm having my superfoods. I can remember when I used to eat blah, 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 blah. So you take the twist and put your story on it. So this is the deal. Now, this is the thing with the invite. The inviting is very important because more than anything, that's where you're planting your seeds. I take away the expectation that somebody's going to tell me yes right away. This is how I look at my invites. Just like when you go, like, I know I go into a store, I'll go see a purse. I'm like, ooh, that purse is nice. Let me go touch the purse. So I go over there and touch the purse, rub the purse, smell it, look inside it. How much is it? I'll go in and see how much it is. And I'm like, okay, I know where the purse is now. And then I leave. And then if it comes back on my mind, I'll see a commercial about it. Ooh, there's that purse again. Yeah, then it's still in my mind, right? And then I'll get a bag, get an outfit. I'm like, ooh, that purse will look good with this outfit. See, that's the same concept that I realize it's happening with us when we're talking to people about our challenge groups. So the first thing is you're posting. Those are your commercials. Those are your commercials that are going to keep people thinking about you. So if we're not posting, there's no commercial to have us come back into anybody's mind. Then people are interested. So when I always tell myself, they just want to know what I'm doing. That's it. They just want to know. They're curious. Okay, I'm going to tell you. And then we're going to get to the cost. I'm going to tell you. And they're going to say, okay, thank you. And you know what? I'm like, no problem. Because now I have your attention. So now it's lights, camera, action, baby. So now that I know that I have your attention, because now you know what I'm doing, I told you how much it is. You're not ready, but that's okay because now I know what your weaknesses are. I know what your struggles are because we had that conversation. So you can best believe lights, camera, action on my social media page where I'm going to talk about everything that I know you're struggling with, and I'm still speaking to you even though we're not in our inbox anymore because now you're watching me. And now I have your attention. And now you're thinking about that bag. And when you get to the point where you're like ready, when that path crosses between someone being ready and you posting strong content about your story and identifying with women's struggles or whatever your market is, helping people get to where you want to be, that is when they will come to you when they're ready. And they're not going to come 1 minute sooner. But the thing is, not only do we have to be doing the inviting, but then we have to be sharing struggles, sharing solutions on our social media so that people always think about us and take away the expectation that they're going to sign up right away. Have compassion. The thing I think about is before I started, you have to think in the mind of someone who's tried to lose weight before and they've struggled. Like for me, I felt like I tried everything. Okay. I wasn't going to go spend $160 on something when in my mind, all I was going to do was fail. Because to me, I'm like, why am I going to spend the money? I've tried everything. Why is this going to work? I was afraid. So when I'm speaking sometimes, so then you know what? So then I think to myself, they're afraid. So what do I need to talk about on my social media? Fear. I need to talk about fear. I need to talk about how I remember when my best friend talked to me about starting this challenge group and I was so afraid because all I did was fail. You get in the mind of the person that you're trying to talk to. I talked about how when I finally one day, and I'll talk about the bottom moment I had when I was told her I was ready. I talk about and I remember I was sitting in the car, pants were unbuttoned because they were too tight, eating a Bowberry biscuit. And y'all don't have Bojangles, but it's a blueberry biscuit that you get 2 for $1. And I used to get extra icing and I would get a 32-ounce sweet tea. Like I had it bad. So I would literally sit in my car. I was sitting in my car before work, pants were unbuttoned, eating 2 Bowberry biscuits with extra icing and a 32-ounce sweet tea. And I was like, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I was like, gross. Like, I can't do this. So I talk about that on my Facebook. I talk about my moment when I decided this is it. And I talk about how so what's the other objection people have? They don't have the money. We all have the money. It just depends on where we want to put it. So I talk about how when I hit my moment, I canceled a hair appointment I had. I returned a pair of shoes I brought for Price because he didn't need another pair of shoes. That's my son. And then it was Mother's Day, and I told my husband I needed the rest of the money so I could sign up and get started. So who does that speak to? That speaks to the person who says they don't have the money. And I show them, like, I didn't have the money either. But when I got tired of it, I went and I got it all, I pulled it all together, and I made it happen. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but I knew that I had to try something, and I had to have a little faith. So I talk about fear. So I think the biggest thing that we should do, remember who you're talking to. Get in the mind of the person that you're trying to reach. Truly take the time to think about their struggles and be compassionate. And don't come across like, well, you should do this because da-da-da. No, think about their struggles and then speak to those struggles on your social media. And the people are going to realize that she's real. She understands me. And then they're going to trust you. The thing that's going to differentiate you from every other coach on your team, every other coach in Beachbody, is your story. And find your story, y'all, and find power in your story. There is strength in your story. There is love in your story. And you will connect with so many people, and they will fall in love with you because you're giving your story. And all it is telling your struggles. And there are some people who are going to identify with you, and there's some people who aren't. You know, I don't get little skinny girls who just want to get stronger and just like, oh, I just need to be healthy and active. Like, I don't get those kind of people because that's not me. I get people who are very much like me. So you know what my challenge group was full of? People who keep starting over and over and over again. But it's okay because that was me. So that is it. I just want to encourage you to know that be consistent. Post every day. Share your struggles. Do your personal development. Be true to yourself. And when we consistently do those things, the people will come. And they will come out of nowhere. You'll find them. They'll be telling people about you. They're like, oh my God, my friend told me about you. They'll be messaging you because you become true to your story, which makes you set you apart from everyone else. And that's all I got.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh. Wow. Like, yeah, Roxanne's clapping. I'm like, and mic drop, bow, all that good stuff. Sorry. Wow, I took so many notes, and I just love that, like, you came on here and shared so much value, guys. I hope you were taking notes as well, because she dropped some, like, serious nuggets in there. Talking about how you take what you're talking about in your messages and sharing it on social media. I was like, what? That's amazing. Like, I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh my God, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. This is awesome. And I just love how, like, your emphasis on being true to yourself and sharing the journey. Yeah, I think because even me, like 3.5 years now, I sometimes can get detached of, like, who I was, 50 pounds overweight. Won't go into all the stories now, but yeah, I think it's so important to always going back to that. Where were you before, and what is the story from there to now? And I just, oh my gosh, I have so many notes in here. The personality was like so genius because I can so relate as a shopper too. I mean, like, I'm just gonna look at it and then I'm gonna put it in my cart, but then I'm gonna click out of the window, and then and then it's gonna come up on my Facebook. I'm gonna look at it again, and it's so true. And I love that you don't have what you said about not having expectations for the conversation. I thought that was brilliant, and I would now just love to ask you a couple questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So in your invite, you mentioned that you share a little bit of your story. Is that like your initial reaching out to people where you share a little bit about your story in the invite, or what does that look like?
So my very first message that goes out, I know it verbatim. Hey there. I always say the person's name, and then I insert one genuine compliment. And I say, hey, then I say, thanks for the love you showed on a few of my posts. It really motivates me to keep going. I don't know if you know or not, but I am a health and fitness coach. And the reason I do say that, I don't know if you know or not, because I don't ever want to come across like, you should know I'm a coach. So I feel that comes across, I feel like that adds a little bit of humble part to it. But I said, I don't know if you know or not, but I am a health and fitness coach. I'm putting together an amazing challenge for my clients. We'll be focusing on portion control eating, 30-minute workouts from home, and a lot of accountability and support. And the other part that I started adding in with all my messages, because I think it's important, it helped me to lead with my fears. So when I first started inviting people, I was always afraid to ask people because I didn't want them to come back and be like, are you saying I'm fat? Like, for some reason, that's what I felt like people would like think I was saying, that they were fat. So I would say, I have no idea if this is something you're interested in or not, but I would love to share more information if you're interested. I love to hear from you either way. So that helped me. So that's the initial message. So when they say yes, the next message, I go in with a little more information about I go a little more into my story. And then I briefly say, again, we focus on portion control eating, 30-minute workouts from home, a lot of accountability and support, to tell you a little bit about myself. And it's about a paragraph. And then I ask them what their challenges are. So not the initial message, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. I'm always curious, sort of how much back and forth do you do as far as asking people questions to get to know them better? Because for me personally, like, small talk is not my forte, just my personality. So I'm more of like, just let's cut to the base, like, whatever. Let's get to the end of this thing. But I know that's, it's much better and more effective to ask questions. So I always sort of have trouble balancing those two. I'm like,
you know what, Alicia? I totally know what you mean, because me personally, I always talk to people how I would want someone to talk to me. Like, if I don't know you, don't message me like asking me questions, because just small talk questions, because that's weird.
Right.
So to me, I have to think about the Facebook world. In the Facebook world, if someone's liking your post, they're digging you. To me, that's to me in the Facebook realm of things. If someone's liking my post, then they like me. So I'm not gonna message you and ask you a bunch of. I don't do small talk at all.
Yes.
I hate small talk. I think it's strange. I think it's awkward.
Yes, I hate the whole forming idea of ask them about their family and what do you do for work? I'm like, no.
Being on social media, social media is a very, I don't want to say superficial, but it's very surface, and I'm not gonna, that forming thing is icky. Like, I hate when people message me and I don't know them, like, so what are you doing? I'm like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, why are you in my inbox?
Yeah, don't, no, but I agree. I don't do any small talk. If we're liking each other's posts, that means we like each other, and you see what I'm doing, and I'm gonna just get to cut to the chase.
Awesome. I love it. Yay. Okay. I have one more question, and then we're going to let you guys ask questions. But are you typically inviting people off of who's interacting on your social media?
So there's two answers to that. When I first started coaching, no. I would get 20 or 30 likes on a post. So I had to really step way out of my comfort zone, and I just started going down my friends list, sending messages. And those were all friends, people that I genuinely knew. So I would just send them messages. But now, because I've grown my base, I just message people who've liked my posts.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that's so important to know also where you're at, because I was in the same place too. Even like 20, that was a lot. I would get like 4 or 5 likes and be like, now who do I talk to? You know? And so being consistent, knowing that if you are, like she said, if you're showing up on social media in all the ways that she said, you are going to consistently grow your following and consistently grow people to talk to. But I don't want to monopolize this anymore. I'm going to unmute everybody, and you are free to ask her any questions that you have.
Ebony, I just want to say thank you so much for being on this call. And
thank you.
I've heard, we've heard people talk about, talking to your challenge, talk about your challenges on social media. But I love the fact that you gave like real examples. And I don't know, I was like able to be like immediately think of examples like that would work for me. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you. You know what? I do say, like, I know, like, when I've gotten on calls and listened to people, I felt like they were always so super flowery, like, just do your personal development and then invite every day, and then they're gonna sign up. And I'm like, bruh, give me something. Like, what did you do in that post exactly? So I get it. I understand.
Yeah, thank you. And one of the things that I was curious, just your thoughts on, when on the one hand we're sharing our challenges and we want to be real, and I guess sometimes I'm afraid to get too real if people think like, well, why would I want to sign up with you? You still have all these challenges and you don't know what you're doing. You haven't figured it out yet, so why would I want to sign up with you?
So I will say this, there is a balance. As coaches, we are going to be real. And then on the other side, you know what? As coaches, we do have a certain accountability to be staying on track, So I think there's a balance to it. When I started, and this is the other thing too, when I started coaching, Roxanne, I only lost like 10 pounds. So when I started, it was genuinely like, I would tell people, hey, so my messages now are definitely much more confident. The sound is totally different than they were when I started. So when I started, I simply said, I want somebody to be my accountability partner. And when I started out as that, it took away some of the pressure I felt from feeling like calling myself a coach. And like, honestly, I didn't really call myself a coach when I started. I just said, I want people to help. It was more on that angle. And I got better results. My confidence grew, so my sound changed. But I think you're starting, not saying be fake, but if you like straight falling off like all the time, like, no, you don't want to, you need to stay on track. But I think that the thing that I do, like my coach taught me, is you always put a twist on it. So even if I'm sharing a post, like I try not to always make it seem like I'm happy. If I share a post where I'm sad, then I always end it on a positive note. If I'm having a rough day with my food, I'm gonna always end it on a positive note. Like, oh my God, I struggled today. I missed my workout last night, but I'm definitely not gonna miss it today. So always ending it on with a positive. If that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love how you said this earlier in the call when you said, I think I actually wrote it down, take people to the dark and bring them to the light. I thought that was brilliant because, you're like, you show them that side, but then you show them this side. So it's not, you can go to that place of where you were and the struggles, but then what was the solution? What did you do? Or what are you going to do? It doesn't even have to be something you didn't do. Like, it makes me realize I didn't work out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I pretty much just ate things food and did not work out. I didn't talk about that. It was just like, yay, here's the day starting again. I'm like, why didn't I talk about those 3 days? Because we, like you said, we get into that mind of like, I'm a coach now, and here's my coach hat, and I'm just only going to show what I think people need from me. So yeah, totally awesome. Okay, anybody else have any questions? We just have a couple minutes left.
I have a quick question. So,
Yeah.
going back to, you said that you're kind of posting more towards challengers than towards coaches. Is that just your preference, or is that where you're at with your business right now?
It's kind of where I am with my journey right now. I have to work on building my coaches, attracting coaches. So that's some part of my journey where I have to, just how I feel like I've really mastered attracting challengers, I have to master incorporating posts to attract coaches. So right now I do have coaches that actually do work under me, and they're all challengers who have been in my challenge groups, and they're like, I want to coach too.
Okay.
So I have like about 10 working coaches, but they've all come from my challengers. So I do an occasional post, but I got to work on that part of my business.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel right now. I'm realizing, okay, if I had a coach like me under me, I'd be pulling my hair out. I don't know how Alicia puts up with me. I'm very slow. I'm very shy. I'm very scared, and I struggle with inviting. And I'm beginning to realize maybe that's because I'm not being consistent about inviting challengers. Maybe I need to work on myself a bit first here before I start reaching out to other coaches or other coach prospects. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I think, that is one of what they call the vital process, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with bringing in challengers, having them see amazing results, and converting them to coaches, because, I brought people in just for the business because that's how I was brought in, but it's actually, I think even with Proven, they did a bunch of polls that people who come through a challenge group and have that amazing results stick with it and a lot longer because they have that product experience. So even if I bring people in just for the business, I always make sure that we start immediately, like with a program, like treating them like a challenger in the beginning. So I don't think there's anything wrong with approaching it that way too, if that's what works for you. And again, it goes back to what you said about being authentic. What's your story? Because I was brought in for the business opportunity, but maybe you weren't, right? You came through as a challenger. So it would make even more sense through sharing your story that you bring people in that same way.
Mm-hmm. And again, that goes back to what we're saying about even how the challengers that I attract, they're very much so just like me. So whatever your journey is, you'll probably attract people who are going to grow into it just like you. And it's okay.
Absolutely. All right, I've got a minute left on this timer here. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Ebony, for coming on the call. Definitely so many nuggets, so many awesome things. And I love that you gave really actionable, tangible, doable things and not just like the fluff. And I don't know, it's just awesome. It just happened. So
thank you.
Thank you. So this is a fabulous call. Thank you guys for making time out of your night. Have an awesome rest of your day.
All right, guys. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.